Yo, who's up minging their yang right now? We got the return of the Chinese tiger. Ian Machado Gary's also about to get CP'd. Pause. Return of Giga Chikadze. Not a terrible card. Welcome to the Fight IQ podcast. We're back with another episode. This weekend we have Ian Machado Gary versus Carlos Prates. First main event for Carlos Prates. The fighting nerds are really working their way up the ladder here, and I'm excited to see Prates in this position. It's kind of hard to get excited for this card, to be honest. Nicholas Dalby, whenever I see Nicholas Dalby on a card, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what are we about to get into?
Yeah.
Let's start from the very bottom, though, even though we don't really want to. That's what we're going to do. Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards. I'm going to go with Jocelyn Edwards, part of the Dump Truck Guild. Fucking Leon Edwards' long lost sister. How are they not related? I really don't understand how they're not related. They have the same last name. They look exactly alike. I'm going with Jocelyn Edwards. Chelsea
Nice.
Chandler. Who is it that she was running away from? She had.
Man.
Yeah, she does have that iconic moment. One of the funniest MMA
Norma
pictures
Dumont?
taken of all time.
Yes.
I think it was Norma Dumont, dude.
Yeah.
Just full on sprinting.
Away from Norma
And
Dumont.
what's even more hilarious is that she ran into the cage. It's
Yeah.
not like she like sprinted and then started cutting the cage. She ran and then fucking bumped into the cage. Like she didn't see it, like how close it was.
I can't think of it. You're running away from it. I mean, Norma Dumont is good. She's at the top of the division, even though it's a very weak division.
Yeah.
But if you're literally running away that's like on the same level as like Torres Finney just holding Robert Valentin against the cage. Like you're literally avoiding the fight.
Yeah.
She's not a real fighter. I'm going Jocelyn Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty safe pick here. It's Jocelyn Edwards for sure. I'm still shocked at the fact that Chelsea Chandler has a number next to her name. I mean, it's 14, but it's a number.
Yeah.
So I think this is an easy win for Jocelyn Edwards. Probably gets her ranked. That is what it is. It's women's bantamweight.
Yeah, man. I'm also gonna go Jocelyn Edwards on this one. She's always had like pretty heavy hands, and you can tell whenever she fights people, even in her losses, if she's fighting a grappler or something like that, as the second they start feeling the power that she has in her hands, they immediately start like trying to just smudge grapple her. That's one of her weaknesses. I don't think Chelsea Chandler is going to be able to control Jocelyn Edwards either, because if Aline Perez was having problems with it, and taking her to a close fight, I feel like Chelsea Chandler is not going to be able to have much for her. So I want to say Jocelyn Edwards by lukewarm TKO finish in the later rounds.
Nice. I like it.
The ref is just like, Jesus Christ.
Like, I've seen enough. I've seen enough.
I've seen enough. It wasn't impressive. I've literally just seen enough.
It's like, I want this to end right now.
All right. Up next, Timmy Kwamba, fucking Kwambi versus Roberto Romero. Listen, Kwambi, man, he's scrappy. Kwambi is pretty scrappy, but I am going to go Romero. There is this kind of a thing where, like, when a guy makes his debut on short notice, like Romero did, and everyone's like, oh, my God, that's what he did on short notice. Imagine with a full camp. They usually suck after that. I don't know why, but it's like some people are better on short notice. Some people, like, it's like, oh, maybe he didn't think about it for too long, so he just went in there and fought. But he was kind of putting it on Onama in the first round, and then maybe gassed out and started getting fucked up by Onama. But I'm going to hope that this is not the case with Romero, and I'm going to pick Romero to get it done. But Kwambi, man, don't be surprised if Kwambi gets scrappy.
Kwambi can get scrappy all he wants, man. I don't think he's that good. It's one of those things that we were talking a little bit about it beforehand here. I didn't know him that well. I looked into his fights. He's 0-2 so far in the UFC. Romero's 0-1 in the UFC, but with the short notice, maybe we'll give him a little bit more room there. I am going to go Roberto Romero on this one as well. I don't think Timmy Kwambi's that good. I just Timmy Kwambi, man. I just don't see him getting it done here. It's a loss to Oki, which, say what you will about it, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Roberto Romero on this one also. I just really have no no like real basis for this pick other than I feel like Roberto Romero did fight the better competition. He did
Yeah.
look pretty good against Onama, which is a pretty tough opponent for your first, first fight in on short notice.
Hmm.
So I think with the full training camp, he's going to be more prepared enough to, get a decision win over Timmy Kwambi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say though, I think this is low key gonna be a fun fight just because of how scrappy they both are.
Mm.
I don't see
Dude,
this being fun.
dude, I'm gonna come back with an I told you so. I promise you, this is gonna be one of those where they're like, damn, well, if they actually gave bonuses to fighters on the prelims, these guys would probably deserve it. I guarantee you this is gonna be a fun fight.
Well, if it is, we'll see you in black and white on the next video.
Okay.
Hmm.
Jacqueline Amorim versus Poliana Viana is happening.
Yep.
All right. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cameron Simon. I'm going I'm going Wellmaker. I'm actually really impressed with him. And I think he's got a really similar style to a Peyton Talbot, but I think he's got even more power, if I'm being honest. Like watching Malcolm Wellmaker's fights, he seems to just like have the touch of death sort of thing. And for bantamweight, it's pretty rare. And he actually has good skill too. Um, if you watched his highlight of his knockout on the Contender Series, that punch was like not the greatest technique. He didn't plant his right foot. It kind of just he threw a counter overhand and his right foot kind of like followed and his shoulders moving away. Not really what you want to see, but with the power that he has, I think he's going to be able to get it done here. And actually, watching his other fights, like his technique in general is not bad. That one punch was like a little sloppy, but he's got good kicks. And listen, I was watching highlights of his fights before before the Contender Series, and he is sleeping everybody, like sleeping fools. So I think he's going to get it done. And Simon has taken a lot of damage recently, so I'm going Wellmaker.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think I've got to go with Malcolm Wellmaker on this one as well. Um, Cameron Simon's one of those guys that, he had a little bit of momentum coming into it. He was an undefeated prospect coming into the UFC. His last two fights were both losses. His last fight was actually to Peyton Talbot. Um, so I guess if we're comparing him to somebody, that's not a bad one to make. Malcolm Wellmaker's clearly got power. It's a Contender Series fight making his debut. I think this is probably one of those cases where the UFC wants to give him a little bit of a layup here. Cameron Simon trains with DDP, so maybe he's got some wrestling that he can implement there. But I think he's probably going to get caught at some point in the fight, and it's probably going to be too much for him.
Uh, I'm also going to agree with both of you guys again with the Malcolm Wellmaker pick.
Yeah.
One of the things I see a lot from Cameron Simon is, like you just mentioned, he trains with DDP, so he has a lot of similar tendencies that DDP has. And I feel like when you're at bantamweight, if you don't have that like devastating power behind your strikes that make,
Mhm.
anything that lands a big consequence, it's not going to be an effective style, because the reason DDP style is effective is because if he lands with any of those sloppy punches that he's running at you with, it's going to cause damage and it's going to set up his grappling, and then
Yeah.
he's just going to run you over. But if you don't have the power that's going to cause the damage to like lead to the next step in what your game plan should be, like I just feel like it's a bad situation and like not the best style. With that being said, I feel like Malcolm Wellmaker is going to have the power to, and the skill set to be able to, pretty much sleep him on an entry. I feel like that's what's going to happen. Like Cameron Simon's probably going to do one of those blitzes inward, and I feel like Malcolm Wellmaker is going to counter it and sleep him.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see it going the same way. Damon Blackshear versus Alatong Haley. I've never been impressed with Alatong Haley. That being said, I have been very impressed with Blackshear.
Mhm.
Not in his stand up, but man, I don't know. He seems to be able to avoid the damage on the feet for the most part.
He
Mhm.
runs people over
Yeah.
with his
So
grappling.
yeah, I'm going Blackshear. I like him as a prospect. I think he's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really safe pick. He's being very active, which I like to see. He fought, I think, maybe a month, 2 months ago, so it's not like it's been a long time. He's got that momentum, and his grappling is seemingly significantly above a lot of the people that he's been fighting. He's not in the part of the division where people really have anything for him in that sense. I think this is going to be another easy
But
win for
he
Blackshear.
has fought. He has fought high level competition. Like that being said, he did get slept by Montel Jackson. but I rate Montel Jackson super, super highly. I think
Yeah.
he's long been the dark horse of the bantamweight division. He just doesn't fight enough.
Hmm.
So I don't think that loss to Jackson is all that bad.
No, I do think Blackshear's probably going to work to take this to the ground. He's got a 5 inch height advantage on this guy, so there's a pretty noticeable reach advantage as well. Being the taller guy, I don't know if that's going to be great for his grappling game, but if he does get it to the ground, I think that lankiness is going to be a big factor in the grappling.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is actually a really tough pick for me.
Okay.
I do my gut feeling is telling me to go with Damon Blackshire, because how good of his fucking grappling has been.
Yeah.
But I am seeing some pretty solid wins coming from the other corner there at Antalenhi. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Damon Blackshire here.
Nice.
Fair. All right, let's move up. Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Oh, Jesus Christ. These are some fucking mid fights. And listen, I know Chris Gutierrez was ranked at one point and he finished Frankie Edgar. I get it. But he's like the highest level mid fighter that you could be. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Like a
And
Dan Ige type.
Danny Gay is yeah, actually they're pretty similar. They're
There we go.
they're like if they were
I'm
just a
happy you brought that
little
up.
bit better, if they were just a little bit better, I wouldn't call them mid.
Sure.
He's a high level mid, and
Okay.
I think John Castaneda is just like a mid,
Just mid.
just mid. So
Yeah.
I'm going Chris Gutierrez. We're going to be in the full size octagon.
Yeah.
Chris Gutierrez is good at playing that outside game, kicking the calf and whatever. John Castaneda never throws enough. This is like one thing when I watch John Castaneda. It's like when he does decide to put the pressure on and throw, he actually can make some shit happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to catch Gutierrez. I don't think he's aggressive enough.
Yeah. Did Gutierrez fight at bantamweight at one point?
Yep.
Is
Yeah.
he moving? So okay, so he's moving up to featherweight. I mean, his
Yeah,
last
so-
loss
But
was Song Yadong.
Castaneda's a bantamweight too. Like they're both
Okay,
bantamweights. So I don't know.
it's a featherweight bout though.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but they're both bantamweights. So they both agreed to fight at featherweight for whatever reason.
Hey, fair enough. My pick for this one's Chris Gutierrez as well. Looking back at their records and looking back at their recent performances, I think Chris Gutierrez just is a little bit better. He has a recent loss to Song Yadong, which means that people thought he was good enough to be in the ring with him. And Song Yadong is obviously a much higher level competition than both of these guys.
Yeah.
I think Chris Gutierrez is just going to be able to eke this one out. We're probably getting a decision here, but I think Chris is going to be able to get it done.
Yeah, Chris Gutierrez has like one of those like styles that's just like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do every fight, and you have to gonna have to work around it.
Yeah.
He always, uses a lot of side to side movement and tries to use big kicks to just kind of point fight his way to a decision. He's really not gonna be down to let you in on, punching range or anything like that. He's perfectly content, just like essentially squeaking by decisions, and I think he's gonna get away with it again on this one. I just don't really see Castaneda having the tools to be able to close the distance quick enough. Gutierrez is really good about, just keeping you at kicking range, lighting those legs up. He might throw a body kick or a side kick in there, and then either getting a leg kick stoppage, which he has a few of, or just getting by with the decision. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. All right, moving up, Evan Elder versus Gage Young. Jesus, this card is really a fucking mid-off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Evan Elder, I think, is like slightly less mid.
Mm-hmm.
They both have like a very similar style where they're just like kind of like this old school boxer style who like kind of adjusted their style a little bit for the sport of MMA, but they're just like, man. And I could see this one being boring too because this is Southpaw versus Orthodox. I could see this fight like really not being fun at all. But I think Evan Elder's a little bit better and has better experience. I know Gage Young fought Quillen Salkild, and I know everyone is like, oh my God, Quillen Salkild just fucked up Anshul Jubilee. Chill out, guys. It's fucking Anshul Jubilee. He's not anything special.
No.
And Gage Young lost to Salkild. Evan Elder had a good fight with Nazim Sadikov. So I'm going Elder here. I think he's slightly less mid.
Yeah, I was looking at both of these two. I think Evan Elder gets it done here. That's my pick. Gage Young's an interesting one, right? He's 0-1. He lost on the Contender Series. I guess it was a good enough fight to get a contract off of a loss. His record's not terrible outside of this. He's got 6 knockouts, 5 of which came in the first round. So he's clearly looking for that finish, and he's probably going to be looking for it early. I think if Evan Elder can kind of play his game, keep the distance, make sure that he's not getting hit with these big shots that are going to get swung at him, push it even into the second round, I think it's going to be an easy night. I've got Evan Elder winning here.
Yeah, man, it's really tough. Like, there's nothing that would lead me to want to pick Gage Young even off the vibes, because I do
Yeah.
kind of want to dissent from you guys and start having some of my own picks.
Yeah,
But honestly, some of these are just so like, how could
Yeah.
I pick the other guy, you
yeah,
know?
Right.
So Elder is established at fighting really legitimate competition already in the UFC. Gage Young has lost all of his big fights, including his Contender Series fight. And then on top of that, too, like even if you're looking at their stats, the significant strikes absorbed per minute and landed per minute, it's just like the numbers don't lie.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's the question. Look, we got, like I said, Orthodox versus Southpaw. Evan Elder is a Southpaw.
Mm-hmm.
Gage Young is not like particularly good at like at setting up his strikes and reading and really making his way in strategically. Do you really want to count on Gage Young to be able to like solve the Southpaw problem? I
And he
really,
never shoots takedowns either. Like he's
yeah,
shot 0 takedowns, had 0 grappling.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
you're
I'm
going.
going. I'm going Evan Elder. Sorry about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
That's a safe pick.
All right. Last one on the prelims: Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick.
Mm-hmm.
The battle of the guys who decided not to retire. Um, Jesus Christ.
This is a rough one, bro.
I'm really about to pick Matt Schnell, I think. Fuck, dude. I don't want to do it, but I think I have to. Like, Jimmy Flick is just not very good on the feet. And I've seen him struggle to get takedowns on not the best opponents.
Mm. Well, luckily, Matt Schnell is not the best
Dude,
opponent.
Matt Schnell does all the right things. He just has a terrible chin. Like
Yeah.
when
I
you
know.
watch Matt Schnell fight, it's like, yo, he's setting up his strikes, he's feinting, he's cutting the cage, he's doing all the things you're supposed to do,
I
dude, for
know.
like an experienced fighter. And
Yeah.
then it's just, oh, his durability is like 2%, dude. He walks in already coming off a concussion, I feel like.
I know. But then randomly in the Sumadarji fight, he was able to like take a shit ton of damage.
No, dude, he's a flip of a coin, man.
All right. Against my better judgment, I am picking Matt Schnell. Um, Listen, you got to question both of their motivation. To be honest with you, Matt Schnell very recently was like, "I'm going to retire," and then decided not to. Jimmy Flick was like going on a run, made it in from the LFA, I think is where he
Mm-hmm.
came from. I remember watching him on the LFA, and I was like, "Damn, this dude's a fucking beast. He's an aggressive grappler. He hunts for the
Mhm.
submission." And then he came in, and now he's like a fucking win-loss fighter in the
Yeah.
UFC. And then like,
It was after his retirement too.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like he had all this momentum, retired for like a year or two.
Yep.
When he came back for some money, man, just started getting like KO finished. He just couldn't
and
couldn't find the groove.
I
Yep.
don't like that. I think Jimmy Flick came back for money. I think Matt Schnell came back because he realized he loves fighting.
Mm.
I'm going Schnell.
Dang. Well, here's some dissent then. I saw A Bug's Life. I'm definitely going with your boy Jimmy Flick.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
I'm in one of those boats where I'm going to pick a win-loss fighter over an 0-3 fighter any day. Matt Schnell's last 3 fights, he's been either submitted or knocked out, all in the second round, so I'm going to take my pick up one. Jimmy Flick by some kind of finish, TKO, KO, submission, second round. It's Matt Schnell's thing. He always gets finished in the second round, it seems like recently. And I just think at this point, Matt Schnell's fought a lot of high level competition. He's fought Pantoja, he fought Ursig, he's fought Royval. He's not been able to beat any of those guys though.
Dude,
Every
those are
time you
literally
step
like the
up,
top 5 of the division, though.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
And everybody's made a name off of Matt Schnell. How many times have we seen the Ursig highlight? It's the
He's the
only
Bobby,
really big
he's
one.
the Bobby Green of flyweight right now.
And I think Jimmy Flick maybe recognizes that, and he's going for a new title run here. He finishes Matt Schnell second round.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Matt Schnell
God damn it.
by counter knee takedown, dude. So he's gonna counter the takedown with the knee, KO
Uh-huh.
Jimmy Flick in the third round.
Okay. I like it. I
Uh,
like it.
I don't see Jimmy Flick having the danger on the feet that Matt Schnell's typically fighting. All those
Sure.
fighters you just mentioned that flatline KO
Top of the
Matt Schnell,
division, definitely.
especially Urseg, man, their striking is very sharp.
Yeah.
They're able to make really solid reads. Even in the Urseg fight, Matt Schnell was like in there pocket boxing with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he
Yeah.
just got caught with the left hook.
Yep.
So I don't think Jimmy Flick has those skills. I think Jimmy
He
Flick is
doesn't have
gonna
the
get
power. Jimmy
No.
Flick's
yeah, and the
power
and the power too.
is zero. Jimmy
So
Flick's power is zero, brother.
I feel like Matt Schnell is going to be piecing them up on the feet. He's
Yeah.
not going to be getting rocked like he normally does. Jimmy Flick is going to start spamming those takedowns, and by round three, he's going to make the read to land a knockout knee, bro.
Dang, dude.
Boom.
I
Boom. We
hope to
Um,
did
see
it. We
it.
did the prelims. All right. Don't keep
Hell
me here
yeah.
any longer. We did the
It
prelims.
gets
Um,
better. It gets better from here.
All right. Finally, we have made it to the main card. To everyone who skipped through the prelims, welcome. You are here. Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. Man, what happened to Muniz, man? He was such a hot prospect at one point.
Yeah.
when he sub
Uh,
Souza, dude, Jacare.
that was fucking bad. I can't watch that replay. Like, I can't
Mm.
do it. It fucking makes me cringe too hard.
Yeah.
I'm going Ikram Aliskerov. He's taken some time off after that Robert Whitaker loss. Uh, Man, they pushed him a little too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is a proper matchup for him, and one that he's better skill wise, and I just think he's going to beat Muniz. I really don't see anything special with Muniz, and if he's like, listen, Muniz is a great grappler, but if he was a guy who it's like, oh, he always secures the takedown and gets the back at some point, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's just not that guy.
No.
I am going Ikram here.
Nice. We're going to keep the trend going. I too am going Ikram on this one. I think this is just one of those cases where the skill level is going to be substantially different. Ikram's one of those guys that at least at one point they thought could potentially hang with Robert Whitaker. Obviously didn't pan out well. Outside of that, though, he's looked really good. He is the biggest favorite on this card. I think he's a minus 650. So the odds makers also kind of agree with us on this one. I just don't know that Andre Muniz is going to be able to do anything here.
Yeah, man. Gonna agree with you guys and go Ikram as well.
Yeah.
I just feel like even before he entered the UFC, when he was going toe to toe with Hamzat before that devastating finish, he was hanging with him. He was, defending some of his takedowns and doing the right things grappling wise.
Yeah.
Muniz is a very like sneaky grappler in the sense that he'll be in a really bad position and he'll be able to like catch something real quick. Very similar to like a Paul Craig, where he's like getting the shit beat out of him in bottom position, and then he'll catch something in like a blink of an eye. I feel like Ikram is going to be able to really just be smart enough to avoid those positions. And with him being able to decide where the fight takes place, he's going to be able to, probably KO him. I'm gonna go with the KO.
Nice.
He has a lot of good KO finishes, and yeah. So Ikram Aliskerov by second round KO.
Nice.
Okay. Now this next one, although I do hate Nicholas Dalby and I want to pick Randy Brown so bad, and I think I am going to pick Randy Brown, this one I had to think about. I had to let this one sit in my brain for a little bit. Because Randy Brown is good, but he's also not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicholas Dalby has, I don't know, man. He has more trouble with lengthy guys like Randy Brown like this.
Yeah.
He's gonna need to close the distance because Dalby is just a fence pusher.
Yeah.
He just loves to hold people up against the fence. He loves to do way too much erratic, feinty movement that actually doesn't set up anything, and it pisses me off. I fucking hate watching him fight. I hope Randy Brown KOs him in the first 10 seconds.
Nice.
I do not want to watch another fucking 15-minute Nicholas Dalby fight. Randy Brown, KO in the first round. Please, I'm hoping that I just will it into existence. That's my pick.
Dude, I think I've got to go with you on this one as well. It's a pretty safe bet to go with Randy Brown. Yeah,
I see Martin cooking. He's going to say something.
He's trying to figure something out there.
Yeah.
I was looking at this one. The height difference is massive. It's 5'10 versus 6'3. Randy Brown really likes to utilize his range, and he tends to be bigger than most of the guys he fights. He's got a really nice jab. It's really long, and he tends to be able to put some decent power behind it. Randy Brown has been up against a decent amount of competition recently too, right? His only 2 losses recently came to Brian Battle, who's been going on a tear on his own, and then prior to that, Jack De La Maddalena, which is another loss that's aged really well as he's currently fighting for the title. Randy Brown is definitely one of those guys that I think you need to beat to get into the top of the division, and I don't think Dalby's going to be that guy.
Please don't pick Dalby, bro.
Dude, I would never pick Dalby over Randy Brown, honestly, man. I was smiling because it was just like, oh, here we go again, all picking the same
Yeah,
fighter.
yeah.
But yeah, dude, I really feel like Randy Brown is one of those fighters that really knows how to use the length that he has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He fights at the very end of his punches, which is really awesome. He likes to be real creative with the striking too. Lately he's been kind of getting a lot more flowy, which is interesting. It's just showing that he's improving, which you'd love to see. And all of his losses, like even the Brian Battle loss, it was very close fight. You know what I'm saying? It was one that if he made a few simple adjustments, he could have easily won that fight.
Yeah.
And you can tell that Brian Battle was like not wanting to really engage too much in the distance striking with Randy Brown. So I feel like with all the tools Randy Brown has, it's going to be more than enough to fucking beat the shit out of Nicholas Dalby. He's probably going to pick him apart at range. And then if it comes close to like a clinching situation, he's definitely going to like fuck him up with some elbows. I see like a pretty flashy KO from this. Like I see highlight reel KO like out of this
I
fight,
am
honestly.
praying to the MMA gods.
Spinning heel kicks.
Nah, I honestly like a big right hand. I feel like a face plant KO. We might see.
Randy Brown is more of a straight punch, kick type of guy.
Love it.
Michelle Pereira versus Abus Magomedov moving up the card. This is another good fight. I think a good matchup actually.
Yeah.
I think Abus is gonna gain some more fans after this one. I think he should have a bigger following and more hype than he actually does. I mean, his only loss in the UFC was to Sean Strickland, and I don't know whether or not that fight was on short notice, but Abus was like fucking Sean Strickland up kind of in round 1, and that's not easy to do. Say what you will about like Sean Strickland's style, what Abus did to Sean Strickland in round 1 is not easy. Michelle Pereira, I could see it getting scrappy for a little bit, but Abus looks like his cardio is much improved too. So I'm going to go Abus.
Oh, how we forget. Abus also lost to Borjalho in a pretty dominant fashion. Borjalho took his back and was beating the shit out of him. Michelle Pereira has looked very good. He's been on a really heavy streak recently. Obviously, he lost to Hernandez. I'm going to rate that loss as pretty heavy, though. It was in the 5th round after he was just getting the shit beaten out of him. Hernandez is now in talk of top 5, top 7 opponents at this point. Abus, I don't think, is there. We've seen both of these guys fight high-level competition. I think Michelle Pereira is going to be able to get it done. I was looking back at some of his recent wins, and they've all aged really well. He has a first-round submission over Oleksiejczuk, which, as we just saw recently, Oleksiejczuk has changed up his game entirely. Maybe he's a different fighter. I remember on a previous episode, one of y'all was talking about how a win over Ihor Potieria means something. He's got a first-round submission of him as well.
I know, I never said that.
I heard it, man.
I was very impressed with his performances against Igor Prateria.
I heard it come out of somebody's mouth, and it wasn't mine.
It's dude.
Definitely.
Pereira's got a lot of good wins. He's got wins over Ponzinibbio, which is not a bad one either. It was a split decision, and that's the closest one that he's had besides the loss. I think it's an easy pick here.
Remember when he had trouble with that fucking featherweight? Who was that?
Yeah, dude. I can't remember his fucking name, dude. But he just it looked like a skinny fat bald dude, and he came up short notice on like a week's, and Michelle Pereira gassed out in the 1st round.
Oh,
and then he just grinded a decision by Connolly was his name, last name Connolly, maybe. I don't know why. Tristan Connolly. I don't know.
Tristan Connolly. That sounds familiar.
Either way, I'll find it in post, but I think my pick here, I'm going to dissent. I'm going Michelle Pereira here. He's been on a roll. I think he continues to improve recently, and his cardio looked pretty good in his last fight out. It's just a tough fight against Hernandez. That's going to be a fight that everybody's going to gas out in.
No way, dude. That's a terrible take, dude.
That's fine.
In the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, dude, I would too. 30 minutes?
30 seconds.
Sorry, 30 seconds. I'm bad.
Okay.
Yeah, dude. The first 30 seconds of the fight, like he had like one big burst of energy.
He did.
And then after that, he was
just getting his ass beat.
It was like one of the worst showings of like cardio going into a fight I can
Yeah.
remember off the
Hey,
top of my head,
you
bro,
know,
was his last fight against Hernandez. It wasn't even like Hernandez even got the chance to put the pace on him yet.
yeah, that's a
It
fluke,
was
bro.
like
It's okay.
it was like, yo, dude, how are you like like your stamina is completely at zero
With
in the
that being
first like
said, like I
2
have
minutes of the
no
fight?
clue how did he even make it to round five?
He made it to round five and almost to the end of the fight.
Crazy. I mean, being
It's
that
because he didn't
exhausted
throw
has
anything, dude.
He doesn't
I don't
have
think
to,
he
bro. He could just absorb the damage.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Um
I think it's an
like,
easy pick here. I don't think
I have
Avis
to
has it.
I have to go with Avis Magomedov on
Oh,
this one,
dude.
bro. I feel like, dude, just like I've seen Michelle Tejeda, dude, just like fucking throw his gas tank into the garbage way too many times, and really just get fucking
Yeah,
the
man.
shit beat out of him until he gets finished.
I just hope he doesn't
Um,
come out with backflips again. We don't need any more backflips.
I do think he's
yeah.
gonna come in, a little bit more in shape, dude,
Yeah,
because of how he fought last time.
yeah,
I would hope so. And I actually thought he was like 37 years old for some reason. He's 31, dude. He
yeah.
looks
He's
like
not
he's
that
like
old.
38. It's nuts. Abus Magomedov, I just feel like he's going to be able to, box a little bit better in the pocket. And if he decides to grapple with them, he's not going to have the gas tank to go into rounds 2 and 3. And he's probably either going to like lose via like just bad output, like not throwing enough,
Mhm.
or get finished. So yeah, I'm going Abus
I,
Magomedov on this one.
yeah,
All
I think
right.
Abus is gonna win by TKO, actually.
Yeah,
I'm
like
gonna
round
make
three.
my yeah, I'm gonna make my pick even more specific, TKO.
We are gonna find
Yeah.
out.
All right. Giga Chikadze versus David Onama. The return of Giga Chad.
Dude,
Um, what's he been out for like 2 years now?
he's a fucking decision artist, bro. His
Jesus Christ.
last
Well,
three
it's a high level.
fights, his last three fights have all gone to decision.
I'm going Giga.
Wow.
I'm going Giga. I'm going. Listen, I like both of these guys. I like Onama. I think he's durable. I think he's well rounded. I'm picking strictly off the vibes here. I'm going Martin
Mhm,
style. I'm going Giga just off vibes.
mhm.
Nice. I'm going David Onama in this one. I think Giga is probably past his prime at this point. I don't know that him coming back is going to be this big, oh my God, it's the return to what he used to be. We're going to see the Giga kick. It's going to be this big thing. We're talking about a guy that's probably like 6 years removed from when he was actually cool. David Onama is one of those guys that's kind of been up and coming for a little bit here. He's 13-2. He's got a great record, and most of his wins have come by finish. His last few to decision. It makes me a little nervous that this fight's going to be really boring and we're going to get 15 minutes of like checking each other's range, and that's about it. But I do think David Onama is probably going to get it done here. I think on the ground, Giga has nothing for anybody. On the feet, I don't know that it's going to be such a substantial skill differential that Giga is going to be able to make any difference there.
Nice.
David Onama.
Um, I'm gonna go with Andrew on this one. I'm gonna go David
Hey.
Onama. I do feel like Giga is very skilled, but he's
Mm-hmm.
always had this one big hole in his game, which is once you get past kicking range
Yeah.
and you get in like into the pocket with Giga Chikadze, like he kind of crumbles.
Yeah.
So I think David Onama is going to be able to enter in on him and land some really big hooks and get the TKO finish. He's going to wobble him a few times, I feel like, but it's going to come from Giga not being as fast as he used to be.
Yes.
He's like 36 now, taking a lot of damage, coming off some injuries,
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel like the kicks aren't going to be as fast as they used to be. Onama's going to be able to enter and fucking land big hooks
Yeah.
and get the KO finish. But that being said, I feel like maybe this time off, Giga has worked on
Mm-hmm.
what happens when people get in on you like that. But fucking,
You
we'll
know,
see, dude.
he struggled really badly with Calvin Cater, which is one of my biggest kind of hindrances to really thinking Giga is going to be able to do much here. Is Calvin Cater is a pretty strict boxer, and if I remember
Mhm.
that fight correctly, I remember it being pretty one sided.
Yeah,
Uh,
just box him the fuck up,
yeah,
dude.
and Giga also ran into a similar problem with Arnold Allen. So this isn't new. I don't know that David Onama's skill is that changed from those guys. I think he's probably going to have the same game plan, and he's just going to get it in short range. Giga's not going to be able to kick, and that's going to be the fight.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna make it like a comparison between Giga and Israel Adesanya in the sense that their boxing is really gonna be where you have to challenge them.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be kickboxing with them, obviously you're gonna lose 10 out of 10 times. But I feel like Onama's all of his skills are in his hands,
Mm-hmm.
so he's gonna be able to close the distance and then box him the fuck up. And yeah, that's where the fight's gonna get finished.
Yep.
All right. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't care about that fight.
Respect.
At the end of the day,
Hmm.
I don't think either of them are gonna like make it super far. So
No.
I think.
I think Giga made it. You know, he made it as far as he was ever gonna make it,
Yeah.
and he ain't getting back. And I just don't think David Onama's getting past. Like, I think Dan Ige fucks up David Onama.
He is unranked.
Anyway, I'll leave you guys with that.
Mhm.
Anthony Smith, something we all can look forward to.
I'm
Not
hyped for this
fight,
fight.
his retirement.
I'm
Yes.
so stoked for this.
I'm stoked for his retirement. Dude, Zhang is gonna Ming all over his Yang.
Ming, 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 Ming.
I'm telling
Dude.
you,
Mhm.
Anthony Smith. Anthony's take that how you want.
Yep.
Anthony Smith is getting fucked up here.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people. Oh, Anthony Smith beat Vitor Petrino, and everyone thought Vitor Petrino big power puncher, but Zhang Mingyang is different, bro.
Yeah.
He's still different. The squarest head I have ever seen on a UFC fight. He puts Drew Dober to shame.
Mm-hmm.
Zhang Mingyang, first round KO.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. You know, I was looking at this fight, and on paper, Anthony Smith wins this fight. The problem is he's fighting a Minecraft character, and
Yeah.
Mingyang is just this massive, heavy hitter. And I think we're probably going to see the implementation of the Anthony Smith Lionheart guard. It's probably going to come into play probably pretty early in this fight. I don't know if Mingyang's going to have an answer for it, but I do think he sleeps Anthony Smith.
Yo, honestly, dude, I don't think Anthony Smith is even gonna. He's not even gonna have a chance to play his fucking
Lionheart guard, man.
Lionheart guard.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna see Anthony Smith out cold,
Yeah.
snoring.
Me too. I was gonna say, dude, we're moving past the line.
Yeah.
Big Yang has an answer for the Lionheart guard, dude. He has an answer for it. Just fucking overhand,
An overhand
flatline.
left.
Yeah, dude, just flatline KO Anthony Smith. That's what I'm going with too, dude.
Yeah.
I want to say round 2 because I will say Anthony Smith is durable as hell.
Yeah.
And he will take a lot of punches, but I feel like Ming Yang is gonna stay at range and then fucking land some massive shots,
Yeah.
get the KO.
This is the lion versus the tiger. I mean, we got
Whoa.
fucking Zhang the mountain tiger Mingyang and Anthony Lionheart Smith. I'm picking tigers all fucking day.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
All
Yeah.
day.
This is a terrible fight for Anthony Smith to take on
Oh.
a retirement.
Yeah.
Like this is really bad, honestly.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is like when BJ Penn fought Yair Rodriguez at
Yeah.
43 years old, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what were you doing in there with this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. Okay, so that covers that. Ian Machado Gary versus Carlos Prates. CP.
Carlos.
Okay. Carlos Prates, I think, everybody knows he's good.
Yeah.
Everybody knows his striking good, but I see so many people shitting on Carlos Prates like he's not as good as he actually is. And
That's
people
crazy.
People are glazing Machado Gary in this matchup. I do not get it. Dude, Carlos Prates is gonna fuck him up.
Yeah.
I'm very confident in that. I
Yeah.
don't know why I see so many people being like Carlos Prates is not ready for this level of competition. Ian Machado Gary. But look, Ian Machado Gary is good. I'm not gonna say he's not good. But dude, if fucking Jordan Williams or whatever his name was can rock Machado Gary, if Song
Had him
Kanan-
pretty fucked up, bro. He
if
had him
Song
like it
Kanan- yeah,
fucked up, bro.
dude. Song Kanan fucked him up for a moment. Jordan Williams fucked him up for a moment. Carlos Prates is putting him out cold.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Williams was diabetic too. I think he brought that up a few times in the build up to that fight.
Oh, yeah?
Dude. Yeah, I feel like he was that dude that was always saying he's like, oh, I got
Dude,
diabetes.
he's out there fucking low blood sugar, about to fucking TKO Ian Gary.
Dude had his nose all busted up,
Yeah, man. Yeah, Carlos Prates.
Yeah.
No-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an easy pick. I think it's no secret that we're all just really heavy on the fighting nerds at this point. But Carlos Prates is a different level of competition. I really don't think people understand that the level between him and Ian Gary is going to be substantial. I mean, Carlos Prates has not had a fight where we've seen him in danger or where we've seen him even struggle. I mean,
Trevin Giles, for a little bit he was getting tagged by Trevin Giles, but
Sure.
I think everyone I think
Everyone gets tagged
Yeah.
by Trevin Giles. Dude, Drickus got tagged up by Trevin
Yeah.
Giles. Dude, he like Trevin Giles, bro. He can
He's a
box
good
with the best.
boxer.
Yeah.
He beat the shit out of James Krause, bro.
Yeah.
Also, I think people overplay that. I think that's like one of the things where it's like the same thing that, and people are going to get sensitive. I'm bringing up John Jones. It's like the same thing where like in the Thiago Santos fight against John Jones and the Dominic Reyes fight against John Jones, we all just know how good John Jones is. Same with like in the Khabib fights. So if anyone lands a punch on them, everyone goes, oh my God, he clipped him. You know what I mean? I think it was that sort of thing where like, oh my God, Trevin Giles landed a couple punches on Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates sucks. It's like, no, dude, it's a fight. You're going to get punched.
Yeah.
Carlos Prates fucking slept him.
Oh, and here's my thing too is, we're talking about a pretty heavy jump in competition. We're going from Neil Magny up to Ian Gary. We're talking about somebody that's now top 5, was a #1 title contender against Shavkat. Ian Gary's also taken his last 2 fights on short notice, which I think is really interesting. And I don't know that Carlos Prates is the fight to take on short notice. I know there's been a whole lot of shit recently about Ian Gary shit talking him, saying he's a quitter, saying he can't make it past the 2nd round. I mean, I've seen Ian Gary sitting in suits a lot, sitting in the cuck chair a lot, but I can't say that I've seen him in the gym once yet. All I've seen of Carlos Prates is him in the gym. I think he's taking this fight very seriously. I think he knew that he was going to have a big fight, and it just happened to be Ian Gary now. This is a different kind of situation. I really don't think Ian Gary is going to be able to play that outside long counter-striking game that he wants. He's probably going to resort to the fence clinch to try and slow it down, to shorten the range, to make sure that Prates can't hit him with those long crosses that he throws.
Prates' clinch game is fucking nasty.
And that's the thing, right? We're going to see another situation where I could see this being like a Radke, where it's a body knee TKO, something horrible where he just hits him up against the fence in short range and just slumps him.
I don't think he's going to put Gary out cold.
I do.
But I think
I definitely do.
TKO him. I could see fucking Gary fucking acting like he's going to get TKO'd, but he's going to act like it was a good fight in the press conference. It's gonna be, I went out there and I got TKO'd by Carlos Prates is knocking everybody out cold. And I only got TKO'd by him. That's what's going to happen.
I very much so. I hope we get another Jing Liang where he just gets slumped.
Yeah, dude. Another a big reason I'm making my pick on. I mean, obviously, I would go Carlos Prates either way, just off the vibes. But Ian Gary spent a lot of time circling against the fence, and all of Carlos Prates' finish come against the fence.
Yes.
His finish against Radke, his finish against Magny, his finish against Jing Liang,
Yes.
all of those, they were up against the fence, and they were cornered because one of the things he does so well is he's one of the best at cutting the cage. He's so used to fighting in a Muay Thai ring where it's easy to be cornered. People that come from a boxing ring or a Muay Thai ring are so good at just controlling where the fight takes place, and he utilizes that as a weapon. And I feel like Ian Gary, like you were saying, is not going to be able to be on the outside point fighting with them because I feel like Prates is going to check the low kicks that Ian Gary's throwing. He can fight that Muay Thai style with the light lead leg and just be so prepared. Dude, he fought 60 plus kickboxing fights down in Thailand, bro. He knows how to check a low kick. So I feel like he's just going to be so prepared for all that shit. The issue I do see is Ian Gary trying to clinch him against the fence and fucking really slowing the fight down. But because Prates has been controlled against the fence for significant portions of fights, but he knows how to get out of it, which is the thing.
And Gary's been doing that a lot lately. And let's not forget, the Fighting Nerds have recently brought on a new CNO, Chief Nerd Officer, of Fighting Nerds to break down footage and game plan for fights. I think they're going to game plan for Gary's zesty fence push. I think they're going to have, they're going to know what's up. I don't think that's going to be trouble for Prates.
No, and I think that's one of the things about the Fighting Nerds, I think, as a whole, that we kind of are starting to see more and more is I don't know that there's going to be something you can bring to them that they don't have at least an idea of how to prepare for. And if you're fighting Ian Gary, I guarantee that they've spent half of their camp just holding him up against the fence and making him get off of it.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, and they might be steering him into that ninja choke that we've seen a few times. You know,
Carlos
It might be
Prates, he has submissions. He has 3 wins by submission.
yeah, and even dude, people forget, man. He fucking took down Magny. Magny was clinching him against the fence, and he took him down.
Yep.
But
Got
I
top
will
position.
say, like, he kind of just like fell into that position. I feel like he didn't even want to take him down.
No.
But he just like naturally got a takedown. And then like I remember watching that fight, and Prates was on top, but he looked so out of place.
Yeah,
And
dude, and then he
Yeah.
landed like a couple big shots, and then he's like,
Yeah.
"All right, I'm gonna stand up, bro."
all right, let's get back up to the feet. This is weird.
Yep.
And I remember Magny like really like, "Nah, bitch,
Please."
Yeah, dude.
But
Fucking
yeah, Carlos Prates.
Yeah.
And that's a good way to cap out this card. Honestly, Gary versus Prates, that's a better main event than what we were going to have.
Yeah.
Hill versus Roundtree. To be honest, like I was not excited for Hill versus Roundtree.
No.
So I'm kind of glad that fell through, and this is what we got. But those are our final predictions. If you made it this far in the video, please comment something. All right, I'm not going to go there. Please comment something down in the comment section. Please help us get into the algorithm. We've been putting a lot of work in on these videos, and we'd really, really appreciate it. Like, comment, please subscribe to the channel. Those are our predictions. Let us know what you think of our predictions in the comments below. Enjoy the fights. We'll catch you on the next one. Adios.
Mingyang madness.
What fighter has the highest fight IQ?
I don't think there's nobody in the game that has the fight IQ that I have.
Off the charts.
His IQ
The
is
highest
insane.
fight IQ maybe ever.
This guy hits hard. He's tough. He's this, he's that. And this guy has a dream. But my fight IQ will win this fight.